after the transmission between the RFID tag to the RFID reader. The RFID reader still needs the interface to receive the signal and deal with the information or data. Especially the data will be passed to the remote server. Hence, we need to define the interfaces for the RFID reader to manage the information. An RFID reader interface provides the means for software on the host system to control aspects of RFID reader operation, including the capabilities implied by features of the tag air interfaces. EPC Global Reader, which means the RFID reader which follow the standard or definition by the EPC Global. So EPC Global Reader interface standards are designed to provide complete access to all capabilities of the UHF Class 1 Gen 2 tag air interface, which is Class 1 for the identity. So it means the standard is defined and designed to access the ultra-high frequency, at least Class 1 Gen 2 RFID tag, including the reading, writing, locking, and killing RFID tags. In other words, it defines how to send a command and how to access or how to control the RFID tag. There are different RFID reader interface standards that are the Reader Protocol (RP) and the Low Level Reader Protocol (LLRP) that provide the greater control to clients over the use of the radio frequency channel and the protocol. Specific RFID tag features such as the Gen 2 inventorizations. In this framework, LLRP Low-Level Reader Protocol and RP Reader Protocol belong to the capture step, because we use the RFID reader to obtain or to capture the data. And the low-level reader protocol or reader protocol try to obtain the corresponding information via tag protocol. All reader interfaces abstract away specific reader brand and model used. Corresponding to the international certification exam, we need to pay more attention to the low-level reader protocol. It tries to define the RFID reader, how to manage the information or data from the tag to the remote server. In the following course, we will introduce and explain the low-level reader protocol (LLRP). An RFID reader module will be or may be just an embedded system. So to deal with the huge data from the RFID tags, especially many RFID tags, we will need a host or a server to manage all the data. So to operate efficiently, a RFID reader needs a reader interface that specifies the interaction between a device which is capable of reading, writing text and application software as to control the aspect of the RFID reader operation. Therefore, EPC Global has developed reader interface standards that are the reader protocol and the low-level reader protocol. All EPC Global standards are designed to provide complete access to all capability of the UHF Class 1 Gen 2 tag-air interface, including reading, writing, locking, and keying text. So we can define that specification of the interaction will be reader interface, especially it was defined for interact with the remote host. So what is defined for the interaction between the reader and the tag? The tag-air protocol, tag-air interface already defined the interaction or the communication between reader and tag. Now we will focus on how to interact with the remote host and the RFID reader. So we will use the reader interface for the remote host. The RFID reader protocol, RP, is an EPC global standard that specifies the interaction between a device capable of reading and possibly writing text, namely the tag, reader, and an application software or host. So a goal of the reader protocol is to isolate the host from knowing the detail of how the reader and the tag interact. So the reader protocol tries to show the interaction between the reader and the tag to the host. So the reader protocol defines three different layers that are reader layer, messaging layer, and the transport layer. These three layers is very important and ever appear in the certification exam. Don't worry, we will mention it about when we will take the certification exam. We will introduce it again. We just need to remember there are three different layers: reader layer, messaging layer, and the transport layer, defined in the reader protocol. Hence, the reader protocol will try to define how to send the command from the RFID reader to the tag. Also define how to read the tag data right into the tag and deal with the RFID tag, such as the lock or delete, or we can kill. It defines the procedure in the reader protocol. It also defines the event-based for the reader control. When we query a specific RFID tag, or we will give a periodical conditions, then the event will make the RFID reader to access the RFID tag. In other words, we can define the event to manage the reader, when and how to access the RFID tag, so we can enhance the reader control. It also includes the trigger condition and how to filter the information from the RFID tag. Since one RFID reader can read the RFID tag multiple simultaneously, so how to filter the information, avoid the interference, should be defined first in the reader protocol. In addition to the reader protocol, we need to pay more attention to the low-level reader protocol, LLRP. The low-level reader protocol, or we call LLRP, specify an interface between RFID readers and the clients. Who is the client? The remote server, the remote host, will be the client. So it's very important because LLRP specifies the interface between the local RFID reader and the remote client server or a remote host. The interface protocol is called low level because it provides control of RFID air protocol operation, timing, and access to the air protocol command parameters. It also recognizes that coupling control to the physical layers of an RFID infrastructure may be useful for the purpose of mitigating RFID interference. Unlike other automated data collection systems, such as a barcode, an RFID system is essentially a wireless infrastructure. So LLRP was designed to provide direct control over the wireless aspect of an RFID reader. So LLRP can provide the low-level control and try the physical layers of RFID infrastructure management. So we call low level because it provides the control of RFID air protocol, operation timing, or access. And it also tries to define how to interact with the reader and the remote host. So if you want to get the RFID tag information and pass to the remote host, the whole data flow will be defined and managed by the low-level reader protocol, LLRP. So LLRP low-level reader protocol is not used for wireless data transmission between the tag and the reader. It just provides control service. And furthermore, it focuses on the interaction between the reader and the clients. So you will need to know LRP is an interface for the reader and the client host, not for the data transmission wirelessly between the reader and the tag. So in this slide, we try to present the principle of the or concept of the low-level reader protocol (LLRP). Similar to the reader protocol, it also tries to define how to transmit the command from the RFID reader to the RFID tag, how to access, how to write, and how to deal with the RFID tag, even if you want to lock or kill the RFID tag. So similar to the RFID reader protocol, RP, it also will be an event-based reader control. However, two main difference between the low-level reader protocol and the reader protocol. The low-level reader protocol tries to provide the service, provide the low-level reader access control, even a physical layer. Okay, LLRP provides a low-level access control, which based on the air protocol, timing, or accessing control parameters. So the air protocol is used to define the way to transmit the data between the reader and the tag. LLRP will be based on the air protocol to make the RFID reader access the lower level management, even a physical level accessing. So the graph shows the air protocol class 1 Gen 2. It focuses on the transmission between the reader and the tag. But the low-level reader protocol also define or focus on the interaction between the reader to the client or remote host. So no matter based on the internet or the wireless network, the low-level reader protocol try to define the interaction. Then you can pass the data or information from the reader to the client computer. Although LLRP provides the service for the low-level access control, but it has no responsibility to do the data transmission between tag and reader. So do not mix or make a mistake to differentiate the LLRP and the air protocol. Please remember, low-level reader protocol try to focus on the interaction between the client computer to the RFID reader or from the RFID reader to the client computer. That's very, very important characteristic of the low-level reader protocol, LLRP. Of course, it is so special, so it always given in the certification exam. So this slide is especially that graphic is very, very important. It helps you to remember what is air protocol and what function or what service is provided by the low-level reader protocol, LLRP. So it's very important. Please spend time to remember this. Since RFID reader try to obtain the information from the RFID tag, and the LLRP already focus on the interaction between the reader and the client computer, the RFID reader itself should be managed and controlled. Therefore, there is one interface standard reader management provide for the manager or engineer to control the RFID reader. The reader management interface defines the standards for monitoring operation of RFID readers, such as querying readers for their identity or their number of the antennas. It also provides means to monitor the operational status of the reader, such as the number of RFID tags read, the status of the communication channels, or any potential operational problem of the reader. So if you want to configure the RFID reader, no matter the period to induct the RFID tag, how many tags want to induct or read simultaneously, the power of the RFID reader, it will be configured or will be set based on the reader management interface. So the reader management interface focuses on the service of controlling the reader or management of the reader. Less responsibility to the tag or no relation to the tag data obtaining. Reader management interface only focus on managing the reader, tuning the parameters. So don't make mistake or confused between the reader management and the reader protocol. So the reader management interface provides the service only related to the reader itself. So by use the reader management interface, the remote client user or system can search the RFID tag. Can search the RFID reader. Try to identify each RFID reader and to know how many antennas used or connected to the RFID reader. Second, by using the reader management interface, we can monitor the RFID reader. We can know the state of the reader. Of course, the current situation or the real-time state can be presented, such as the RFID tag inducted or read at this time, the interference of the communication channel, the reader state, is it out of control, out of service, or is stable. And we can also monitor the state of the antenna. We can control or configure the power of the RFID reader. We can turn on or turn off some specific antenna for the transmission. Also, we can use the reader management interface to upgrade the driver or software of the RFID reader. So, reader management interface only focus on the reader itself and provide only the service related to the reader itself. Another interface is called DCI, Discovery, Configuration, and Initialization interface. An effort is underway to develop a standard that specifies a new device called an access control. An access controller performs several discovery, configuration, and initialization functions, or we call DCI. These functions include the initial configuration requirements that an RFID reader or the client must satisfy. In order for DCI discovery, configuration, and initialization operations to be successful, the purpose of the protocol specified in this proposed standard is to identify how the reader discovers one or more clients, and the client discovers one or more readers. In addition, for the readers to obtain configuration information, download firmware, and initialize operations to allow other reader operation protocol to operate. So, just similar to the network, the RFID reader is one remote device which can join the whole RFID system. And the client computer needs to know what is the new device and how to set or configure the remote new device and how to act the remote new device. So the discovery, configuration, and initialization try to define the interface for the client computer to find multiple new RFID readers in the remote locations. Discover the new device, then you can configure the device. Finally, you can initialize the new device. So the client computer can discover one or more readers, or one reader can discover one or more computers. You need to know how to deliver your data to multiple client computers, or you need to know how to collect the data from multiple RFID readers to the client computer. It also given in the international certification exam. One famous question is, please explain what is DCI. And you need to pick up the correct selection: discovery, configuration, and initialization. There will be an English translation problem. But remember, it ever appear in the certification exam. So DCI, discovery, configuration, and initialization is important. Not for the RFID tag, but for RFID reader, especially one client computer to multiple readers or one reader to multiple client computers. So DCI try to make an RFID reader to search one or more client, or to let one client to find multiple RFID readers. So if other network service try to find the RFID reader and obtain the corresponding information, then the access controller will try to identify the request and the connection between the access controller and the client computer. And finally, the client computer can join and obtain the corresponding information. So the reader can identify or recognize the network service as the remote client computer. In other words, one reader can send or deliver the data to the remote network device or service or applications or software, or to a computer host. In opposition, one network service, software, application, or computer can search, discovery, configure, and initialize multiple readers by network.